The big topic heading into this fight is that you're now training at Fortis MMA. What was that initial connection of you actually going down and checking out the gym and then deciding to stay there?
I don't think that's a big topic, man. I think that's just a topic. I'm excited to do what I do. For every athlete, it's just a growing experience. You've seen a lot of people switch camps or whatever. For an athlete, it's more of just to get better. And I look at it as like a dance. If you're dancing with someone and it's fluent, then you guys can comprehend and then grow. So I tried it out, and it was a great experience. Just decided to jump on board.
Was that something where you went looking for that, or you just kind of happened to find it?
Didn't really look for anything. Like I said, I was in the neighborhood, and I was like, oh, what's this? But a friend of mine kind of invited me there. So when I went there and fell in love with the strength and conditioning program, I loved the way it worked on recovery at the same time as strengthening. It's probably one of my best weight cuts so far. I mean, I feel unbelievable. I'm already close to weight. And again, it goes back to that growing mentality.
You're always in extremely good shape going in there. So, like, what are the finer details, I guess, that they push you over the edge in some sort of way where you really like it and it really produces results with the strength and conditioning?
I mean, everyone is different. For me, it was just working on injuries. A lot of athletes have injuries. The last time I fought without an injury was when I fought Adam Sella. I mean, that was, 7 years ago? But my job is to be professional. I don't have any sick days like you guys. Oh, I have a cough. I got to show up. So the warrior mentality is always to show up. But when I was there, just the fact that you worked on certain weak areas where I was finding out, well, I'm weak here. Well, that's not the reason. You're actually weak over here. So let's strengthen that. So that I fell in love with because my body's my tempo. And, when this shuts down, you can't really perform. So with that, and of course the training atmosphere at Fortis, we collaborate really well, and it was something to try. So I felt like, again, going back to that growing mentality.
Do you think that gym is getting its due for all their success that they're having right now?
Yeah, I definitely think they're, paying their dues. They work hard, The only way you guys will ever understand unless you try it out. I suggest you go out there and see what it is. But, a lot of gyms are always going to have their own thing. I mean, I don't know any other. I mean, I've trained at King's MMA before. I've worked with Kelvin. Me and Kelvin have been best buds for a long time. That's definitely his home. I've been invited there plenty of times, and I always feel better when I'm in that, neck of the woods. I train, we beat each other up. So any gym's going to always carry that. It's just, again, going back to that dance routine. Do you guys mesh well? Do you feel comfortable? And there's no disrespect. My coach Clayton Hires, I've been working with him since the Tough Show. And what I love about him, he told me, because when I brought it up to him, he said that if there's someone else that can bring you further than I am or can make you feel a little better growing-wise, I'm all about it. You don't hear a lot of coaches saying that because a lot of coaches, they feel either disrespected, but it's all about the athlete at the end of the day. And whether or not they take it in a selfish way, I have to grow as an individual. At the end of the day, they can bring me to the cage, octagon, but I'm the one that's in there by myself. So whatever tools they're going to teach me to utilize, I have to be able to bring that out by myself.
I know Kelvin's your guy, and I know Izzy's a fight that you really want. What was your emotions like watching that fight that they had a few months ago?
To be honest, I couldn't watch it. I was nervous, He's the bro. Little bro, big bro, whatever. He's the bro. And that's an awesome relationship we have together. We might have to fight one day, who knows? But it's something we would never be like, oh, screw you or whatever. We look at it as a competitive thing. And I remember one time we said to each other years ago, hey, if we, let's make a run for the belt, and whoever gets there first wins or whatever. He got the closest, but it's competition. In that field, it's competition. It's business, but it's also competition. Each one of those fighters, I personally believe, including myself, we're just there for glory, man. We're trying to leave a legacy.
You said coming into this that you kind of lost the fire, lost the hunger. Was there something that led to that? Had you become complacent? Were you dissatisfied with the business side of things? What led to that?
A lot of things, people who backstab you. I've had managers who screwed me over. I've had individuals that, when you're in the limelight, you're somebody. but when you lose the fight, what did they say? You're as good as your last fight. And you watch every fight, even like the Super Bowl. No one remembers who lose, right? It's like, oh, those guys won. No one gives a crap about the one that loses. So, in essence, it taught me to really surround myself with my confidants, I like to call it. And, you'll differentiate your constituents, the people that are there temporarily. And me losing that fire, I'm one of those rare cases where if I'm not thrown in the pit with some wolves, I get bored. I like when my back's against the wall. It's a weird nature of mine, but when I'm in that uncomfortable realm, I seem to progress. I don't know why. I thought something was wrong with me, but we're all just different. There's something that makes every one of you guys tick. I don't know what that is, but it's up to everyone to figure it out. For me, when I have a challenge in front of me, and especially if someone says I can't do it, for some reason activate something. So coming up in the sport, I just felt like most of the fights I won, I didn't get. Like a lot of the fights that I've lost, I didn't want those fights. I didn't want them at all, but it was thrown at me, and I didn't get the right mindset to prepare myself, because a big part of the fight is the mindset. The physical attributes are good, but I didn't have that, so I just lost the interest. But when I saw a guy like Israel, I got excited because I understand his style. He has the anime nature, like I said before, and I feel like it creates that fun aspect. Yeah, belt comes with it, but I'm more intrigued of what could really happen.
You spoke to Kajan Johnson and I a while back about the work you've been doing in your own time, building mental fortitude, your mentality. How's that journey been?
Who did I speak to?
Kajan Johnson has a podcast 6 months ago.
Oh, Cajun. Okay. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
You were putting a lot of time into self-reflecting and working on your mentality. How's that journey been?
That journey's been awesome. I think the best quote I've heard so far that I've always reiterated is, you have 2 chapters in your life. The second one you have 2 lives. The second one begins when you realize you have one. And I think for a lot of people, you get to a point where your want becomes a must. Like, do I want this? Do I need this? Or do I must have this? Whether it's in career-wise, whether it's anything you do. So I'm always questioning myself where I'm like, well, what makes me want to do this? Not every day you want to wake up and punch someone in the face. I've talked to people on the plane where, you're a fighter? Why would you do something like that? I'm like, it's fun. I get paid to punch people. You get to beat up your coworker and get paid for it. But for me personally, it's one of those journeys where I was taught, when you reach the end, it's this glory. But I feel like the fights that I fought to even be here right now, that's the amazing part of it. The fights that people don't see. No one knows what I'm going through. I'm cutting weight. No one goes through when I go home. No one knows that I have personal issues with families and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's not for you guys to see. All they see is the punching and the kicking and who wins and who's that. And I don't want to represent that side only. I'm more than an athlete. I'm a human being. I have feelings. I feel bad when I punch you in the face. Yeah, I'm getting paid, but I feel bad about it. So for me, is to understand that side, the human nature, and of course, the I'm going to kill you. And I try to mesh that in. Because sometimes when I go out there, I beat you up, I do feel a little bad. Because I'm a human being too. And you got a family, you got a mom, you got a dad. So I'm still working on that, because it's a continual growth as a human being.
Uriah, we spoke to Todd Duffy earlier, and he talked a lot about his issues with the media. I know you've spoken in the past about being misrepresented or about how you portray things.
I figured you guys out.
I was going to say, 15 fights in your UFC career, this is old hat now. What's your strategy for dealing with those?
Great question. So with the media, it's what do they say? Any media is good media. If you say something bad or something stupid, people are going to recognize you. Like, take Colby. Dude's talking out of his ass, but people still want to. He's like the villain everyone wants to see get his ass kicked. So regardless if you hate him or you love him, you're still going to watch him. Again, I don't represent that. I don't know how to be fake, or I guess that's a part of playing the game. I call it the counter effect. You go out there, you talk some smack, and it creates that entertainment. We've seen Ali did it. I think Ali did it very authentically, but it's changing. The game is changing. The game is evolving, and everyone has to do what they have to get that prize money. It's not just going out there and being honorable anymore. Yeah, I'm here to fight for peace and all freedom. No one gives a fuck about that. If you go out there and say, you suck, fuck you, then yeah, all of a sudden, it creates something. But at the same time, it's a struggle. And I know a lot of fighters that I've spoken to struggle with this, because they're like, I'm not being represented the way I feel like I should. So now I have to portray something. And then people are like, yeah, man, do it, get paid. But that's not who I really am. I'm a martial artist, man. I don't want to go out there and be fake. That's not how I represent myself. I have people sending me messages saying, thank you for being yourself and being so inspirational. Where I'm like, I am? I didn't realize that. So you never know who's really watching you. But with the media, it is what it is. I've accepted. But what I can tell you that, you know, and I've heard Denzel Washington say it, you owe it to be honest. And a lot of people don't do that because it sells. It's like, we don't care if it hurts. Let's just get it out there. Get the story out. I understand that. It's something I have to live with. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to be comfortable going to bed and say, you know what? I was myself, and I don't feel like I faked anything.
Do you think MMA kind of has this weird balance, right, where half of it's a sport and you have athletes and competitors, and then the other half of it's all entertainment, a bit more pro wrestling, and that's kind of what we see here, right? You've got the guys who are talking shit, get attention, and then you've got guys like yourself who are like, me and Kelvin are best buddies, but it's a competition. Do you think that's what we're struggling with here, this dynamic of two sides fighting?
I think in the UFC, in many other entertainment sport, it doesn't even matter if you're black, white, yellow, pink. The only color that matters is green. Money talks, and you got to treat it like a business. In the beginning, you know, when you're young, I was there too. I was like, oh my God, I want to do this, la la la. But at the end of the day, if you're not playing your role, you're nothing. Take the prelims. Who really watches that shit? You know, you got to get to the big leagues. In one way, it's a motivating standpoint, but in the other, it's like discouraging. So I think you have to have that balance to be like, you know what? I got to get from point A to point B. I got to work my ass off, and I got to do what it takes.
With that being said, is there a line? Like, has Colby just gone way too far in that direction, trying to find the money that he apparently wants to have?
I mean, if you look at it, is he getting what he wants? Look at Tony Ferguson. That dude deserved a title shot since day 5. But, you know, if something doesn't sell, you're not gonna give it to you. You gotta, like, I don't know. It sucks. It really does. So unless you're like hand favorite, hand picked, or you're special, blonde hair, blue eye, I don't know, then you ain't gonna really get the easy road. But who wants the easy road anyways, you know? I like the hard road.
Do you think we'll see a course correction at some point, or are guys like McGregor and Covington going to become more the norm, and we'll see guys like GSP become almost an anomaly?
That's a great question. I think GSP represented the sport the best way he could have. I mean, he walked out like a G, and you don't hear shit about him. Didn't have to talk shit, talk smack. He went out there, disassembled you, beat you up fashionably, spoke well. I mean, I'm surprised that guy didn't get as much credit as he can. But to a lot of folks, that's what? Boring. Anybody want to see that? Ah, you too nice, bro. Talk some shit. I've had people tell me to talk some shit. I don't know what that road takes, but at the end of the day, I have to represent me. I'm entitled to that, and I can't let anyone take that away from me.
You're right. It's I'm sorry, everyone neglected talking about your opponent, Antonio Carlos Jr. It's been a while since you faced someone who's such a pure grappler. Maybe Rafael Natal, I don't know. Is that sort of refreshing for you, challenging? How do you view this matchup?
First off, Carlos is cool. We actually saw each other the other day in the lobby, gave each other a really long, weird hug. But we're buddies, and we just have to separate that. He even told me, hey man, let's just get this up. Yeah, let's just do it. It's your classic matchup, striker versus grappler. We know what he's gonna do. We know what I'm gonna do. It's just whoever goes out there and poses the will first.
If it makes you feel better, he said it wasn't weird.
I like Carlos, he's a cool guy.